What does life really look like for young people in Vietnam? I have asked myself this question many times, but I still do not think there is only one answer. Some young people wake up early and travel a long way to work. Some spend most of their income on rent, food, and electricity. Some are building careers while others are still trying to understand what they want to do with their lives. From the outside, these lives may not seem very interesting. There are no luxury apartments, expensive holidays, or perfect mornings waiting to be photographed. Most days are filled with small responsibilities that are easy to overlook. Washing dishes after a meal, cleaning a room that will become dusty again, folding clothes, moving furniture to make a little more space, trying to make an ordinary rented room feel comfortable enough to return to every evening. I am 22 years old and I live alone in a small rented room in northern Vietnam. I do not have a stable job yet. I do not have everything planned out. Like many people my age, I am still standing somewhere between the life I imagined when I was younger and the life I am actually living now. Some days, that distance feels very large, but life does not stop while we are waiting for things to become better. The dishes still need to be washed, the room still needs to be cleaned, clothes still need to be folded, and even in a very small space, we still want something beautiful to look at. That may be why I brought these plants home. They were not expensive, and they will not change my life, but perhaps they can make this little room feel warmer and more alive. Maybe that is what many young people in Vietnam are doing today. We may not have the life we once imagined, but we are slowly building a life from what we already have. A rented room, a simple meal, a clean corner, a small plant growing near the window. These things may look insignificant, but when ordinary days are placed beside one another, they quietly become a life. This video is only one small story, seen through the life of one young Vietnamese woman, but perhaps somewhere inside it, you may also recognize a small part of your own life. There is something I never understood when I was younger. I used to think a home was simply the place where you lived, a place to sleep, a place to keep your belongings, nothing more. But after I started living alone, I slowly realized that a house and a home are not always the same. This room is small, the furniture is simple, nothing here is expensive, and nothing looks perfect. But every day, without even noticing it, I have been turning this room into a place that feels like home. Not by buying new things, not by making it look beautiful, but by living in it. Making the bed every morning, folding my clothes before they pile up, moving the furniture when the room starts to feel a little different. Little by little, these ordinary routines become part of the place, and somehow they become part of me too. I think many young people in Vietnam are doing the same thing. Very few of us begin adulthood in our dream home. Most of us begin wherever we can afford to live. A small rented room, a shared apartment, or a place that was never meant to feel permanent. But we still try. We clean it, we organize it, we add a plant by the window, we leave a book on the table. We slowly fill an empty room with pieces of our everyday life. Maybe growing up is not about finding the perfect place to live. Maybe it is about learning how to make an ordinary place feel like home. Because in the end, home is not measured by its size. It is measured by the life we quietly build inside it. When I was younger, I thought becoming an adult would happen all at once. I imagined there would be a moment when everything suddenly made sense. A stable job, a clear direction, enough money, enough confidence. But that moment never came. Instead, adulthood arrived quietly. It arrived the first time I realized there was no one else to wash the dishes after dinner, no one to clean the kitchen, no one to scrub the bathroom, no one to remind me that these small things needed to be done. At first, these chores felt repetitive. Sometimes they still do. You clean the room, and a few days later it needs to be cleaned again. You wash the dishes, and a few hours later the sink is full again. Nothing stays finished for very long. But maybe that is what life has always been. Not a collection of big achievements, but hundreds of ordinary responsibilities, repeated over and over again. I think many young people slowly discover this after they begin living on their own. Growing up is not only about earning more money or becoming more successful. It is also about learning to take care of the life waiting for you every single day. No one applauds you for washing the dishes. No one congratulates you for cleaning your room. Most of these moments will never be remembered, but they quietly shape the kind of person you become. Maybe adulthood is not a destination we suddenly arrive at. Maybe it is simply the moment we stop waiting for someone else to take care of our life and choose to do it ourselves. There was a time when I believed happiness would come after achieving something bigger, a better job, a larger apartment, more money, more certainty about the future. I thought life would finally feel complete when I reached the next milestone. But the older I become, the more I realize that peace doesn't always arrive that way. Sometimes it begins with something much smaller, a clean room, fresh air coming through the window, a cup of tea at the end of the day, or a small plant quietly growing in the corner. None of these things solve life's biggest problems. They don't make the future less uncertain. They don't remove loneliness or answer difficult questions. But somehow, they remind us that life is happening right now, not someday, not after we become successful, not after everything finally goes according to plan, right now. I think many young people are beginning to understand this. We still have dreams, we still work hard, we still want a better future. But along the way, we're also learning not to postpone happiness until everything becomes perfect. Because perfection rarely arrives. Maybe peace isn't something we find. Maybe it's something we slowly create, one ordinary day at a time. one small habit at a time, one quiet moment at a time. There was a time when I thought being alone meant being lonely. Now, I don't see it that way anymore. Some of my quietest moments have also been my happiest. A slow walk with nowhere I need to be, a few pages of a good book, an evening without notifications, a room that is finally clean. These moments don't look important. Most people would probably forget them, but I have started to treasure them. Maybe because life feels so noisy now, there is always another video to watch, another message to answer, another reason to compare ourselves with someone else. Sometimes the best thing I can do is simply slow down, walk a little slower, read one more page, stay away from my phone for a while, and remind myself that not every quiet moment needs to be filled. Maybe peace is not the absence of noise. Maybe it is the ability to stay calm, even when the world around us never stops moving. Maybe there is no single answer to the question I asked at the beginning. What does life really look like for young people in Vietnam? Because every life is different, every story is different, every dream is different. But after living alone for a while, I have started to notice something. Most of us are not trying to build a perfect life. We are simply trying to build a life that feels honest, a place we can return to after a long day, a few people who truly care about us, enough hope to keep moving forward, and enough peace to rest at the end of the day. Perhaps that is more than enough. When I was younger, I thought life would become meaningful after something extraordinary happened. Now, I think meaning is quietly created inside ordinary days, a room that has been cleaned, a meal made with your own hands, a book that changes the way you think, a walk that clears your mind, a small blend that reminds you life keeps growing even when you can't always see it. Maybe this story doesn't represent every young person in Vietnam. It wasn't meant to. It is simply one ordinary life seen through my own eyes. But if this ordinary day has reminded you of your own, then perhaps our lives are not so different after all. Thank you for spending this ordinary day with me. I'll see you in another ordinary day.